Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi. So my name is Mehul. I'm a master's student at Harvard, and I graduated from Manipal in 2016 with a degree in computer science. Right now, I'm doing a master's in computational science, and I have been the Student of Vision 2017 award winner at Grace Hopper 2017. And before that, I was working with, well, I founded and I was working with Women Tech Makers Manipal. So that's a little bit about myself. Do you want to
So,
go ahead? Mhm.
yeah. How did you come to know about the Student of Vision ABIE Awards, and why did you decide to go for it?
I think I found out from a couple of places. One was that I was subscribed through the sisters mailing list, and that's where I think they started this award in 2015. And at that time, I was a part of the mailing list, and they had sent out information on the mailing list inviting participants and inviting entries. So that's how I first got to know. And then, of course, I went on the website and I checked what it's all about. And when I did that, I felt that because I had been working with similar things, I should probably apply for the same. So that's how I found out about it.
So, from your achievements, what do you think stood out the most?
Uh, for in my application, you said.
Your application.
Um, I think what stood out the most is that I was working in a lot of different domains. So, of course, empowering girls and women to code is something that's very important to me. But I wasn't just doing it in form of like running organizations, but I was also it. I think that that interest was also reflecting in the other work that I was doing. So, if I mean, if you go and watch my video, I talk a little bit about. How I was making apps which sort of revolved around this issue, and how I also had worked on a YouTube channel which revolves around the same. So I think the fact that I was working in so many different domains is what stood out in my application.
So, I really like your video. What I really loved
Mhm.
was that how you use the coding language for doing your video. So, how did you come up with this idea?
I think, well, my parents are architects, so we have a streak of creativity in the family. So I guess I would probably attribute that to just that. I mean, I used to do a lot of drawing and all of that when I was younger. So I guess that's where it comes from, that idea. Yeah.
So, what was your biggest takeaway from this experience of being part of the Student of Vision ABIE Awards and the TXC?
I think I got to understand a lot about. So I mean, of course, the diversity initiative is very different in India than it is in other parts of the world. And well, the interesting thing is that it's very similar in some ways, but it's also very different depending on demography. So I think when I went to Grace Hopper, I really got to, when talking to different kinds of people, I really got to understand how that diversity initiative varies across borders, and what is it that still like there are so many people at Grace Hopper, you actually tend to realize that there is something connecting all of you, but everybody's challenges are very unique. So I think you can't always come up with a solution which is like one fits all. There are different nuances that have to be considered whenever you're trying to push for something in the real world. So I guess that was my biggest takeaway, that those nuances are what make your efforts what they are. So I thought that was my biggest takeaway.
When I was viewing your profile, I also got a chance to see the spectacular female series. So what I
Hmm.
loved about that was that not only you included the women in tech, you also included the working females from all the walk of life. So how
Oh,
did
thank
that
you.
idea came up?
I think I used to see these people all around me, and I feel like, well, one reason is definitely that there aren't enough women in tech. So even if I wanted to make a series, I would have a tough time tracking down a lot of those people. But also the fact that women in general, I feel like women in every field face this challenge of not being able to find mentors. I mean, I have friends and family in very different domains, and they still talk about how there exists some sort of workplace sexism, or that they're not taken seriously. So I felt that I mean, the whole point of the series was to help people at some point find mentors around them, or to sort of give them an idea that there are mentors around yourself. So I think with that perspective, I felt that it's probably a good fit to include other people in as well.
So also, when
Mm-hmm.
I made my resume using your resume as an example. So
Oh,
I
thank you.
need to know about your CGP. It's actually 9.56 out of 10. So you do
Thank you.
many of the co-curricular activities, but still maintain a high score. So how was it?
I think it was really about like trying to figure out that I need to manage my time right at the beginning. So, I mean, I used to do a lot of things, but I felt like it was never that I always knew that this is something that I could not compromise with. So I tried to fit everything else around that, because I knew that I had to go for higher studies, and for that my CGPA was important. So yeah, it was just fitting my time around that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So you are a student in Harvard. So how is a typical day at Harvard like?
A typical day. Well, so last year I was taking mostly courses, and this year I'm doing my thesis. So, well, last year what my day would be like, that I would get up and my first class would be at 9. So I was always late. But yeah, so I had my first class then, and usually classes here run for 1.5 hours. And then, depending on my schedule, I'd have different classes and then have like lunch in between. But then, so at Howard, they really focus a lot on the assignments. So you get weekly assignments. So, I mean, most of the remaining day goes in like figuring out the assignment, or like writing it up for report, like writing the report and stuff. Or yeah, so it's mostly that. And then, like in the weekends, that's most of my week from Monday to Saturday. And I mean, sometimes I go for, so there are a lot of events that keep happening on campus all the time. So a lot of them are very technical events also, so like talks and all of that. So I have an interest in attending those. So usually on Fridays I go for talks, and I try to keep my Sunday free so that I have time to do other things as well. Yeah.
So I when I went through the video, one of your videos, I saw that you were working on an emotionally intelligent system. So can you
Right.
explain more on that?
So I think emotion detection is still like it's still a largely unsolved problem in computer science, or specifically machine learning. So what emotional intelligence is all about is, so I mean, I did work on projects in my undergrad where I was trying to figure out people's emotions using tweets, or like what does that say about their personality and things like that. And so I did a project back in my undergrad about that, but now I got to learn more about it because there is a group at MIT that does specifically that. And we kind of measure physiological signals of people and try to, well, first of all, what are the emotions and what are the classifications of emotions. So that's important to figure out, because there isn't a fixed set of emotions that people go through. And secondly, I think trying to relate your physiological signals with which emotion it corresponds to, and that's a difficult problem, because my understanding of what emotion I'm going through might be very different from your understanding. So, for example, some person might just be really frustrated and might label that as anger, and someone else might be really upset and might label that as some sort of anger. So, I think that's the biggest challenge in emotional intelligence, or emotion detection problems. But having said that, yeah, something that I'm working with currently is like measuring EEG signals from the brain, and at the same time measuring other physiological signals like heart rate, or how much stress, how much you're sweating and things like that, and trying to relate that with what emotion you might be going through. That's a little bit about that.
What would be your advice to a student that is trying who is trying to get into Harvard? So what all?
um I think they really well. One thing I feel is that they really try to look for passionate people. So, I mean, I know for sure, based on how much effort I put in my application, that there's no easy way to get into it. But there are methodical ways of getting into it, and I think the most important thing is that your resume should be reflective of your interests. So I had interest in machine learning. So I didn't get too much opportunity when I was in my undergrad, but I tried making up for that by working on projects in that domain. And I think I worked really hard. And everybody says that test scores are important, the most important, and all that. But I don't quite agree with that. I think what you put in your statement of purpose is probably the most important. And yeah, your projects and your statement of purpose is something you should definitely work on. And I mean, having good scores definitely help, but even if you have like 1 or 2 points less, it doesn't really make much of a difference, I think.
So does working in diversity courses help in getting into a good college like Ivy League or big colleges?
Yeah, I think I feel like, I mean, I can't say for sure, of course, but I think it definitely helps to like do a lot of different. I generally think that if you do a little bit of exploration, it sort of helps you understand what your priorities in life also are. So because I worked in diversity and a lot of other things, I figured out, I mean, what is important to me as a person, as well as like in tech, what is something that I want to focus on. So I think yeah, that definitely helped me understand a few things.
So this is such a fun question. What was your
Mhm.
reaction when you came to know about the result of Student of Vision ABI Award? The moment you
I think they told me sometime in May, and well, I never. That time I was working at SanDisk, and I usually don't check my emails in the morning. At that time, I didn't used to do that. So somehow that day, I checked my email in the morning, and I had already got my results from Harvard, so I knew that sometime soon I'll be sending in that I'm leaving for grad school. But yeah, I mean, I saw that in the morning and I was like completely shocked because honestly, I had applied for it in January and I had almost forgotten about it. So when I got it, was just like a pleasant surprise, and I think it made my day. So that was my reaction. So then I called everyone in my family and my friends and told them that this has happened. So they were obviously very happy for me. So yeah.
so is there anything that you wish you could have done while you were still in college?
Um, I feel like, well, something I definitely felt when I moved to Harvard was that I'd taken more math courses because we had math in Manipal until fourth semester. I took one extra subject in fifth semester. I took an elective on math, but I feel like I wish I had done more of linear algebra because that would have definitely helped me to sort of catch up a little bit faster. But because I mean, when I came here, it took me a while to sort of get back in touch with math because I hadn't done like proper theoretical math in a couple of years. So probably that. Yeah.
So is there anything that you wish to ask me about like
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great that you're doing this. So, I mean, what are your future plans with
so,
respect to this, or
I
like
have
in
to
general?
get into a medical field and currently
Oh,
doing
that's good.
so I have done a paper where we propose a system that
Okay,
uses the breath to analyze and find early stage of breast cancer. So
okay,
I'm currently doing that project, and also
okay,
we have some design projects as a part of the curriculum. So I'm
okay.
connecting that to the medical field and doing so I could get
Oh,
into
that's great. Let me know if you need any help with that.
sure. So
If
the
I have any ideas, I can probably share them with you.
project
Yeah.
we are taking in is actually about machine learning. So I'm still new to
Okay.
the field, so
Mhm.
would be a great
Oh,
help.
sure. For sure. Yeah, let me know. Yeah.
Yeah, so what advice would you give to a
Mm.
person who is wishing to apply for the student of ABI? Student
I
of Vision.
think just be honest to the work that you're doing right now. And I think, I mean, diversity needs a lot of efforts. And I mean, irrespective of whatever people might think, it is a problem that a lot of women are not very confident because of simply the cultural experiences that they might have had. And I think when you're applying, make sure that your video is reflective of uh, your different kinds of passions and things like that. I think that's the most important. I think something special about student of vision is that they ask for videos and not just written material. And I think that's helpful because it not just it sort of puts a face on all your efforts. And I think that's the most important thing. So when you're making your video for the submission, make sure that it's reflecting your passion and your interests. I think that's the most important
So before closing, I also heard about one thing that I really
thing.
found interesting. That was you were inspired by the Matrix series, the film Matrix. So
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm a huge fan of Matrix. I think I watched it when I was in around when I was 12 years old or something, and I think I've watched the first one maybe like 60 times or something. But I really like that movie, and I think one of the reasons was that that was the time when I was really learning to code. And when I watched The Matrix, they have a character called Trinity, and I think Trinity just inspired me so much because I had never seen on television or in film somebody a female who was a hacker, and that too not just any hacker. She was the best hacker in that system. So I felt that that was just really inspiring for me. And like my compass throughout my whole journey as a computer scientist has been that I have to be like Trinity. So I think, yeah, I mean, definitely I'm a huge big fan of Matrix. So yeah.
I think it's time,
Okay.
and I'm almost up with all the questions I have prepared.
Okay, that's great.
No, actually, if I go on asking, it will be taking so much time. There's so much from your resume that I would like to know. So maybe we can have another section on about your
Okay, sure.
background. Uh, there are a
Sure.
lot of students in my batch from the WIT learning program who are really interested in taking up the. Actually, one of the mentees for Sukriti, we had Sukriti mentored two people. That was
Okay.
me as well as Swati. She is also
Okay.
from Manipal, and
Okay.
she also like to be a professor, and she's
Okay.
forward for doing research in the computer field. So
That's right.
I really believe so many students will really benefit if we could do
Mhm.
another interview about your projects as well as your works in the
Okay.
learning field as well as the computing field. So
Okay.
yeah,
I think that'd be great. I mean, if you reach out to me, we can find some time where we can do that. Yeah.
sure. So thank you so much for finding
Yeah.
time to do this interview, and I would really love to continue this connection after the
Yeah.
interview. So it was
Yeah.
really
Same here.
catching up with you, and
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, this was a really fun experience. So thank you for having me. And so yeah, and good luck.
My second experience doing an interview, so thank you so
Oh,
much.
that's good. Well, I hope you do a lot many more, and I think this is a great idea.
Actually, I
So
was really inspired by your spectacular female series, and I'm planning to do something similar. So,
okay. Well, let me know if you need any help with that as well. So yeah.
thank you so much for being an inspiration, and
Thank you.
so see you soon.
Yeah. See you. Bye bye.
Bye.